Very well. If you've been keeping with us right here, before we took a break, we were looking at how South Africa is assembling actually Ford cars, and women very well participating equally with the men. That was very interesting. And in case you just joined it, we had that earlier. I just explained it, and now we're going to be a bit briefly challenging or also giving hope or motivating ladies or women. If you're watching and you of that sex, please be motivated. This just saw around the assembling plants in South Africa. These are Africans.
Well, and you said we're trying to maybe encourage all the women in Uganda to also take on such steps in Uganda, and definitely know that some jobs are not gender or gender based, so that maybe this job is supposed to be done by men and this is supposed to be done by the women, because I've also seen some women that have actually challenged the number of fellows when they're dealing in I think some of you have noticed the fact that as you in the taxis, some taxis these days have women doing the conductor's role,
as well as even driving.
So with this particular video, you could see that the women are actually taking real action, doing what most men think is supposed to be their own job. So which means that all the women out there, that you can easily do whatever job it is. You don't have to care about who is supposed to say what other people are going to say or judge you in whatever way, because at the end of the day, the main goal is to get money. And if at all you're getting it in the rightful ways, and it's your sweat, then definitely it's a go-getter for every woman out there.
And we have seen Ugandans actually taking a role or taking visits and also taking an initiative to go to South Africa, hopefully of getting work. But you see that South Africa is actually one of the opportunity countries in Africa that we have by Uganda to go there and work. Not only that, but even mechanics. Because they are, because if you go there, I mean, you're not biased about the kind of work that you're going to do there. And I think, let me pick it right from what you're just saying, that means we have people here who work until so you fear that you can actually go get out there and learn mechanism or being a mechanic or engineering or plumbing if you're a lady.
That is one of the,
we have this technical opportunities.
A number of
please leave us alone. Please give us a break. Do not fall victims of such statements that will put you down as ladies. I can tell you what a man can do, you can do, except otherwise. You can even do better. Very well, and that actually brings us to that particular conversation. I can tell you, go for it. Do not allow to be put down, because nobody is going to be at your home when you're actually hungry. Nobody is going to be there in your blanket when you're crying every day like I'm hungry, when you're begging every day for airtime, for money. Now that some of us are not on to government. I don't know why I'm laughing. I'm falling victim because of that. Like, I have to call, please Lord, for me data. Yes, because I mean, what can we do? But please do something. Do not fall victim of such statements from men or from any peers that put you down to limit your space. Now that one brings us to our diaries, actually what happened in history briefly, and we go to our business tips. Make sure you keep with us right here, because we have got more coming up. What do we have for our diaries, Paul?
All right, now we're going to trip down memory lane to 1985 in Uganda's history. As on this day, on 27th of July, Obote, the late Milton Obote, Dr. Milton Obote, who had ruled Uganda for 2 terms.
Dr. Milton
Not
Obote.
direct terms or consecutive terms,
Former
but 2.
Uganda's president.
Yes, he ruled us for 2 terms, because the first term was Obote 1, That was his first era after the 1966 overthrowing the first president of Uganda. Then he came back later in 1980 as Uganda's president. But then in 1985, he was overthrown on the 27th of July, and he fled into exile. And that meant that the new president of Uganda was General Tito Okello Lutwa, who had to govern Uganda as well on 2 military bases. A year after, we headed into the national resistance movement. The rest is history. Okay, so we still remember Obote right there, the man with a stylish afro haircut.
I've not said that, I just but let's
every
continue.
time someone talks about Obote, that is what I remember. I remember his
That's
afro.
what comes onto your mind.
Yes.
All right, and he has done numerous contributions, at least in the country. Great. So we still remember. Of course, there is no way you're going to be a leader and leave that seat or leave nothing on ground. So we won't go to detail of what Obote did in the country, but we'll still remember him as a contributor of Uganda's economy. And very well, now let's go into our business tip this morning. Make sure you grab a pen as well. You may wish to jot them down, or you may wish to note some of them onto your notepad. Very well. And you go to our social media pages, make sure you click onto there and comment on which one works for you, and also how you can advise fellow people onto particular tips. And we're still driving you with the 100 successful tips from successful entrepreneurs or successful businesses, and we are on to our 31st tip this morning.
And there we're diving into number 31, which is go into stealth mode for higher technologies or higher tech. Now, a startup is defined as a company that avoids public attention and with the intention of hiding from competitors, to conceal information, or as part of mysterious marketing strategy. A startup could also be stealth to quietly test and improve its product or service as a pre-mass launch and for a million other reasons.
Okay, so this one actually comes after when we're talking about doing something in Bakulabe. Doing something as if you want to be seen at some point. Some people don't want to be seen. Of course, I mean, I'm not saying it in a bad way, but at some point, there are kind of jobs that by no kunda. Yes, otherwise I want to impress someone out there that maybe I don't want to leave unnoticed that I'm available or unseen. We have that one is not especially in production, it's in service delivery. Service delivery where someone wants actually to be seen and to be noticed. If it's not for work in services, for appraisal reasons, because sometimes we really do push it and push hard in service delivery entities, and we want to achieve so that we impress our bosses so that they give you an appraisal or appreciation or any kind of promotion. But only that one works in a good way if you're doing it professionally. There is the word professionally. Because but then we have other people who
decide to conceal their information when it comes to business. Nga yetayagala kugamba buli omu kyakola. Or for in most cases now in this particular incident, the tip here is how do you get into a situation no bango kweke ekintu. In most cases ba competitors bo baleme kumanya ngeri gye okikolamu. Because business
to
is
keep your business ongoing
and keeping your brand at that level. Ntiteri muntu agenda kuchupula kuduplicating gobere n'ekintu kyo. Also in a way that wekweka naye nga olaba engeri abantu gye bafunamu engeri how people are consuming your service or your product.
And actually they say not every entrepreneur, not everyone will give you that tip that made them successful.
They'll just give you
some of their actually successful
Omuntu ayinza
It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing, Paul. You're not giving your whole, to me. It depends on the person. If it's my child and I'm training you to rule this business, there's no I'm going to keep everything to myself.
When it comes to spiritual matters, it is not a good thing.
Okay.
But if you go into the business aspect of life, it is good for the well-being of business. Why? In business, there is what normally we call it healthy competition. Health competition, competition nungi, tweyagaliza. Ekituufu kiri nti ojja kunjagaliza. Naye waliwo kyolaba n'ogamba naye ono we mugamba kano ke kasembayo. Sigenda kuddamu kukola. And you're like, if I tell him my tip, my
ingredients, that would be the end of my production.
Because oyinza okurealizing nti alina bingi byakola ng'abulako ekintu kimu kyokka gwe business ogiveemu kati ng'olaba kyabulako ky'olina. And once you give them a hint,
you're bound to go down as well.
That's why most business people are facing competition from their own fellow people that used to be their employees. Ng'omwana azze n'akolera n'amanya buli kimu n'atandika ogenda owulira there is some company that is doing the same business.
Actually those people do not talk. If you have realized, they do not share. They are not bound as business friends. When you've been working for me and you go out there and start your own
and you don't
why do we have to be like this? Why? How can we dodge it? Because people are looking out there. How can I dodge? Because nobody wants to work forever for you. Nobody is willing to work forever
because
for
at one
you.
point someone would want
I also
to
want to be independent.
Yes.
But how can I avoid that, Paul? How can we make sure we do healthy competition and health business? All the time.
It is either avoidable if one, you're in good terms with your employer. And also if your employer is willing to accept you to go and start up the same business or be independent. Omanyi waliwo employer gwetusobola okukolera nga ekituufu kiri nti akulaga akwagaliza to develop, but then they are not showing you the way. We have people like that. You're working for someone, but they feel like they want to see you developing.
I want to see you thrive for the future.
But they don't want to show you how you're going to thrive. Nga ate wakulaba ng'okikola ate kimuyisa bubi. Naye nga ajja kikulaga in person nti naye gwe njagala obeere top businessman, njagala obeere top CEO. Naye when you show any sign, ng'atandika okulaga kala ze entuufu gagamba ono wampitako.
We shouldn't really do that. If you're an employer watching me, I know someone out there gave you a chance.
Employees go out nga tebalina kye boogedde. Ne bagamba waayi kangende ntandika ebintu byange kuba omuntu we mugamba. They may even put there some hindrances for me.
If you just go, leave the company, and the next month we hear you have set up the same business. I will not talk with you. That's why I'm saying let's not be like this, or let's not be this way, because I understand you as an employer, someone gave you a chance when you are starting.
Before you also started.
So do not limit someone's success. Make sure, because they said there is no candle that has gone off or turned off after lighting the other. So yes, definitely you continue shining.
No candle blows up after
and because this is young energy coming into the entity or the industry, probably there are very high hopes that actually you're going to learn a lot from this new competitor.
Because they also talk about you when
they're bringing new energy. Yes. Very well. And they're going to bound talking to you, like you were saying, they're going to bond with other people.
And competition keeps us moving, by the way. Because with competition, you definitely know where you're supposed to, what line you're also supposed to take. You look at, because when we talk about competition here, we're mentioning the health competition here. When someone goes into something and you're like, oh, if I also try this, that will be, because competition keeps your mind up, up and moving. You're always coming up with new ideas to beat your competitor. Because if you don't have a competitor or any competition around, you're going to sit in a comfort zone and you feel like, I've made it.
Very well. And just to conclude on it, going into a stealth mode, please know when to speak to your competitor and not to speak, and know what to say at some point, and learn sometimes just to keep quiet in some of the deals you're handling or agreements, and not only to the business people, to everyone. Know when to speak and what to speak or what to do in certain communities, whether in a meeting, whether you're eating, whether you on how you bond with people. Just know the right time, and when you do not know, in case you do not know when to bond or what to speak, you can go ahead and read, or you can first of all study the environment. First study the people that are connecting to you on a daily basis. We have got people who are very talkative. I'm one of the talkative people. I mean, friends who know me, my friends tell me like, you talk too much. But if you see me for the first time, oh my God, you will go complaining like she doesn't talk, like she's very quiet. But hey, I'm not just going to see you for the first day and start telling you everything about me you get. So that is one of the reasons actually why you have to know when to speak, what to speak, and how. And even when actually, what kind of environment. Because
are you going to speak certain
like
words?
We go to parties, friends invite you to stranger parties, you attend, but someone expects you to bond immediately. No, it's not a good thing. First study the environment. But moving on, Paul, onto our 32 tip, they're telling you go easy on the marketing. So basically here it is tempting to run paid marketing campaigns. However, it is also pretty expensive, and unless you can implement defined marketing goals that you are measurable, then it can be or become a draining on your capital, or it can be a drain onto your capital. This is very true. This is very true. What do you have to say about going easy onto marketing and draining people's capital when they rush into the market?
The young entrepreneurs out there, like people who are into entrepreneurship, coming up with their own line of businesses, have this mentality that even if you ever sit in one of these meetings, people will tell you, we are focusing on marketing. First, we need to let people know of what we are doing, what we are selling, and what you realize, the marketing normally has a programming of someone setting out a strategy that with marketing, these funds are needed to market. Where we've seen now in Uganda here, most people paying, let me say, social media influencer, someone paying like 10 to 20 people to run their marketing procedures, and also going to marketing agencies to make sure you do what? You hit the target. However, you should go at least slow on this marketing. How? Learn to first of all understand the business or the field in which you're venturing into before you even tap into marketing, because in most cases, if you're to have information, there are some big businesses that rarely even do marketing or advertising, and it's just the quality of their product or service that markets them. And someone will come out and tell you, waliwo edduuka eriri wali erikola bino na bino naye ebintu byabwe birungi, or there is this particular person offering this service, naye what they are doing, but by offering a service, they have good customer care. So the more you get people referring,
so you have to first focus on production and customer entry onto your business,
on how your business
because after all, the customer is
starters,
going to market for
definitely,
you.
because when you're going to market something that no one has noticed, osobola marketing ekintu nga si kirungi nenga marketing yonungi kati the sales zone nezifira since your money nezifira mu marketing ng'omuntu azze n'abiraba ng'ebintu by'okola tonafuna na feedback otandikiddewo ku marketing nti nkola bino ebirungi naye nga si birungi. But when you start getting feedback in your first venture into the business or service, people will give you feedback. Then our feedback, marketing, then you get to understand.
Actually, it connects to the next one, which focuses on the product. Just to conclude on that one, because we were combining them, actually focusing on the product that gives you. When you focus on the product, oteka mwechicho namo product, you get feedback. You test, you entice on people to give you feedback. I think it works. After all, people are going to market for you out there. When you ask me, where have you got this? This is a sweet cake, very delicious. Obviously, I will recommend.
Yes, like recommendations. I got it from this bakery.
Which business are you doing? Saint Paul. That's just a funny one. I will recommend Paul's business for you surely. And to move on to our 34th one is outsource the task you can. How can they outsource the task that they can, Paul?
Here, with an excellent way to range expenses and boost profits is to outsource a major portion of your business. This can diminish the need to hire people on full time and save time and money spent on recruitment. Now, this comes on the tasks or what you need to do during the running of your business.
Okay.
Because in most cases, when we're starting business, some people will start up with huge ideas. Someone starts up maybe a business employing around a number of 5 people. Or it may be an online business where you're like, I'm going to employ my border, I will have my own border guy who is supposed to be doing deliveries, or I'll employ over 3 border guys who will be doing deliveries across the country, or a vehicle, you never know, or maybe employ my friends that are supposed to be doing for me the marketing.
And when people do not actually take this serious, we have seen businesses that hire a great number of people for the beginning of the month, and the next month never dropping
because you don't have
high because they didn't even plan very
expenses when it comes to salaries chikutula mukuba omuntu omwadde omulimu, and for them they expect, you told them they will come and do what they're supposed to do and deliver. So kati omwezi wegutuuka, or according to the terms and conditions of salary or wages, tituuka ku time yoku receiving all the eyes will be on you.
But I think it's on hiring the right people. Like they're saying, tasks that you can actually, that are important, that are bringing business. You won't hire people, like 3 people doing one thing. Atenga the production, you see that production is not to really, productivity is not going to be there. But rather when you hire maybe one person, now it also depends on different sectors. Because obviously we have different sectors, production sector, service sectors that need individual productivity. But some people actually can do multi-purpose. So you have to consider which fields are going to do multi-purpose for you to incur, to reduce on the costs you incur to, labor, so that it will help also maintain onto your businesses. But actually we would continue from there. That is tomorrow, when we'll be letting you know on being aware of the worst case scenario, because this one is huge. We just don't want to tap on it for now. And we do take a break because we have got news coming up onto the next hour. That is our last hour at 10. We take a break, we do return. This is SMB.
Smart 24, driving business. All right, now 1 minute past 10 o'clock in the morning. It is SMB as we bring you the latest from the local and foreign updates here on Smart 24. Now we dive direct into our local updates now. We'll start with the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, which is under panic following the mismanagement of 547 million Ugandan shillings. Now the scandal was unearthed after a comprehensive investigation by the UCAA Internal Audit and Risk Management Department headed by CPA's Amin Nsimbe. Now the audit revealed that prices for certain works were inflated, some funds could not be accounted for, as well as non-compliance with procurement, among others. Now we head into the next one. As the project coordinator of the Lubowa Specialized Hospital, Dr. John Tumwesigye, has lost a case in which he sued the government and the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Diana Atwine, for terminating his contract. Now, in accordance with the terms of the agreement, the government on 15th June 2016 engaged Tumwesigye to act as a project coordinator under a 3-year contract which started 1st July 2016. However, the government, through the permanent secretary, Dr. Diana Atwine, terminated Dr. Tumwesigye's contract on 24th February the following year, 2017. Now, Dr. Tumwesigye took the matter to the Civil Division of the court, seeking orders to declare that permanent secretary had neither authorities nor the power or mandate to terminate his contract. In his judgment, Justice Musa Sekana ruled out the termination of the contract as it was a measure aimed at saving the government from further loss by the permanent secretary, Ministry of Health, which was within her constitutional function and duty under the Article 1743D. Then on to the next story here now. The joint stock company Global Security, a Russian company that was awarded a 10-year contract on Friday to install digital monitoring systems in all motorcycles and vehicles in Uganda, is facing bankruptcy litigations in Moscow, according to reports and court documents in Russia. Now, the company is also facing other debt-related cases filed between 2019 to 2021 in Russia, raising questions of whether the contract in Uganda is a lifeline that the company needs to beat off bankruptcy litigation of its very survival. Now, whether the government of Uganda did adequate due diligence before engaging Global Security remains a big question after this particular story. We shall do follow up on that particular one. Just keep it Smart 24 TV. Now we move on to the next story here, as the High Court in Kampala has dismissed an application by a section of vendors from Nakasero Market seeking orders to throw Kampala Capital City Authority KCCA out of market management. Now, the vendors organized under Nakasero Market Sitting Vendors and Traders Limited went to court last year seeking orders of a judicial review to reverse a decision by KCCA to take over the market management, and also an order to restrain KCCA from interfering with the management of the market. Now, in his judgment, High Court Civil Division Justice Musa Sekana dismissed the vendor's application, saying that it was not a proper case for judicial review based on the facts and circumstances of the case. Now, on to the next one, as the residents and local authorities, in collaboration with the police in the Antonde district, have launched a search for a 3-month-old baby said to have been abducted by their neighbor. Now, the baby was abducted from the mother's residence in Kalirobi, Ward B in the Antonde Town Council on Saturday afternoon, as the baby's mother, Annette Nakauka, had entrusted their new neighbor, only identified as Nayebare, to soothe him as she attended to the house chores. It is said that Nayebare had rented a room next to Nakauka, which she occupied for 4 days before she disappeared with the baby. Now, according to Nakauka, she had told Nayebare to keep around because the baby was said to be breastfed shortly after completing her house chores. And now she had even entered the house for some minutes when Nayebare locked her house and disappeared shortly after. Now, lastly, into our local updates here on SMB, the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Matia Kasaija, has asked the public to stop blaming members of parliament for pocketing 200 million Ugandan shillings for car money because it was budgeted for. Now, appearing on a local radio, Kasaija said that the argument by most Ugandans that it was not the right time for the government to give out money for MPs before procuring COVID-19 vaccines is totally wrong, because the Ministry of Health received the vaccine money even before the legislators getting their car funds. Now, the minister furthermore said that the reason as to why vaccines are not available is because the public are blaming the wrong ministry, as he called upon the public to ask the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Finance. Now, that ends up our local news updates here on SMB. Shortly is the foreign updates.
And the Israel's Environmental Protection Ministry has announced its decision to delay its implementation of the proposed transport deal with the United Arab Emirates, freezing a project that has agreed or adhered to the environmentalists. Now, the agreement, which followed the UAE and Israel establishing diplomatic ties, lasted a year, which also Gulf oil brought onto the Red Sea port of Elliott by tanker, and also which was moved by the pipeline through the main Israel onto the Mediterranean port of Ashkelon, and also from where it would be shipped onto Europe. Now, continuing right here onto our news, our foreign updates this morning, we have the World Central Bank, which is actually said to accelerate the rise of Chinese yuan. Now, the Global Public Investor Survey published annual report by the London-based OMFIF think tank showing the 30% of the central bank's plan to increase the yuan holdings over the next 12 to 24 months compared to just 10% last year. Now, the yen's rise will also certainly be a global trend, but may not especially be strong in the African-most countries, where almost half of the central banks are planning to increase their yuan reserves. Now, it is stark to contrast onto the yuan at 20% of the central banks to reduce their holdings of the US dollar over the next 12 to 24 months, and also the 18% plan to reduce their euro holdings. Moving on, Tunisian president has sacked prime minister, suspends parliament also after the violent protests. Now, Tunisia's president dismissed the government and froze parliament on Sunday, prompting crowds to fuel their capital in support of the move of the dramatically escalated the political crisis, but that opponents called a coup. Now, President Kaishi Zaidi also said he would assume excessive authority to the assistance of the new prime minister in the biggest challenge yet to a 2014 democratic constitution that spilled powers between president, prime minister, and the parliament. And lastly, a member of parliament in Kenya, Rigathi, has been charged for fraudulently receiving 7 billion and released on cash bail of 12 million. Now, after spending the weekend in police cells, Maritha, the member of parliament, on Monday morning, to face corruption charges for allegedly unlawfully receiving over 7 billion. Now, Gauchua, who was arrested last Friday, was arraigned before the Chief Magistrate Lawrence Mugabe and charged with conspiracy to commit an offense of corruption, fraudulent accusation of public property, money laundering, accusation of proceeds of crime, as well as conflict of interest. And very well, that brings us to the end of our foreign updates for our last hour right here on SMB. And now let's look at how forex rates are trading in town for this particular hour. We refer to the Bank of Uganda. The US dollar this particular moment is still buying at 3,464 and selling at 3,500. 4,796. The Japanese yen is still the highest, buying at 4,784 and selling at 4,995. The euro this particular hour is still standing at 3,993 and selling at 4,275. The Kenyan shillings is standing at 30.17 and selling at 34.41. And lastly, the Tanzanian shilling is still buying at 1.24 and selling at 1.84. And if you just joined us, very warm welcome. You're watching Smart 24 TV and you're watching Smart Means Business. We just had our last hour at SMB highlights in terms of local and our foreign updates. And coming up shortly with Joram Paul Sonko is Business and Sports. Don't go anywhere.
Now we head into sports business here on Smart 24 TV. Thank you for keeping it Smart 24. Meanwhile, those that are just joining us, thank you again, and thank you for watching SMB with us. All right, now we start with our local sports news here on SMB. We're diving into boxing now, as Uganda's middleweight boxer Semuju falls down to Algerian Nemouchi. Now, David Kavma Semuju, playing in the 69 to 75 kilogram category, which is the middleweight, lost to Algerian Nemouchi Yunus after 3 rounds at the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games in Japan. Now, David Kavuma Semuju was painfully ejected from the 2020 Tokyo Olympics by Algerian Yunus Nemouchi. Now, as Nemouchi, who won the welterweight bout at Kokojina Arena by unanimous decision from the 5 judges, as the scoreboards did read as follows: 30 to 27, 30 to 27, 30 to 27, 30 to 27, and 30 to 27. That is for the 5 rounds of action there in Tokyo. Now, the 2 fighters had also faced off at the pre-games qualifiers, with the winning to deny Semuju a direct spot to the Olympics. Now, the defeat is the second for Uganda at the Games after Catherine Nanziri's earlier loss to Japan Sukumi Namiki in the flyweight category, and the focus and only hope in boxing remains on welterweight 63 to 69 kilogram boxer Shadil Musaboji, who faces Georgia's Ima Diev on Tuesday morning and at 11:30 a.m. after getting a bye at the round of 32. Now, Uganda seeks an Olympic medal in boxing since John the Beast Mugabe in 1980, fit at the Munich Games in Germany. Now, out of the 7 Olympic medals that Uganda won since the maiden appearances in 1956, 4 have been boxing, as Erdad Mukwaga, Leo Rabogo, who has won 2, and Mugabe are the only Ugandan boxing medalists at the Olympics, as we still await for another medal since 1982. And we hope that at least the only participant we are left with, who is none other than Shadil Musabogi, to at least get for us a medal. It being bronze, it being silver and gold, definitely we'll be happy and proud of that. Now we head into football now, as Najib strikes as Uganda cobs past DR Congo in Sekafa Under-23 Challenge Cup classification. Now, Vipers left-footed forward Najib Yiga did score Uganda Cobs' goal against Democratic Republic of Congo yesterday, as Uganda edged Democratic Republic of Congo 1-0, as Ethiopia also beat Eritrea on penalties. Rather, Ethiopia lost to Eritrea in penalties after a 1-1 draw in Democratic Republic of Congo there in the Under-23 Challenge Cup, Sekafa. Now, the Under-23 national team recorded their first victory at the ongoing Sekafa Under-23 Challenge Cup, as this victory, this particular one over the Democratic Republic of Congo at Bahirda International Stadium on Monday, 26th July 2021. Now, Vipers Najib scored the priceless goal on the stroke of half-time, and this means that the first victory for Mole Biekwaso's coach side following the goalless draw with DR Congo and the 1-1 draw with Tanzania. Now, Uganda will now face Eritrea in the second classification match to determine the 5th or 6th place countries at these championships. And now host Ethiopia, who lost to rivals Eritrea 4-3 in a post-penalty shootout on normal time. After normal time was added 1-1 at 90 minutes, will play Democratic Republic of Congo for the 6th or 7th placed team. Now, Uganda Cobs' first 11 was Charles Lukwago, the goalkeeper, Enoch Walusimbi, who was the captain, Aziz Kayondo, Calvin Chizito Mugweri, Musa Ramadan, Babosi Biaruhanga, Stephen Serwada, Karim Watambala, Samuel Senyonjo, Stephen Mokwara, and Najib Yiga, who of course scored that goal, the only goal of the match yesterday. Now we move on to another local update here. We're still in Uganda now, as the Uganda Premier League is setting, as the teams are preparing for the new season of the 2021-2022 season. Now we're heading to the Sports Club Villa camp, as Sports Club Villa confirms deal to sign Masaza top scorer Bale. Now this comes after the record league champions Sports Club Villa have agreed a deal in principle to sign the 2020-2021 Masaza Golden Boot winner Charles Bale, as the left-footed forward featured for champions Gomba Saza, scoring 7 goals in the tournament. Gomba, which is also a county counted among the big Masaza counties here, Masaza tournaments here in Buganda. Now, the highly rated Bale, who idolizes Uganda Cranes legend David Obua, has been featuring for FUFA Big League side Terrazzo and Tiles in the concluded FUFA Big League campaign of the 2020 to 2021 season. Now, Bale reunites with assistant coach Ibrahim Kilia at Villa Park, as the two work together at Gomba during the Masaza tournament. Now, he becomes the club's first signing in the current transfer window, ahead of expected many arrivals at the club, with many also expected to depart during this particular transfer window. And the Jogos have already lost midfielder Emmanuel Alex Waiswa and Derek Ndahiro to KCC AFC and URA respectively, while Geoffrey Waswa, Ronald Sechiganda, Asman Alishe, Nicholas Kabonge and Said Kenny are all expected to leave before the league resumes. Now, still with Sports Club Villa, meanwhile, as they do also confirm midfielders' departure ahead of KCCA move. Now, the Sports Club Villa have confirmed that midfielder Emmanuel Alex Waiswa, who I've mentioned earlier, will be leaving the club, as the box-to-box midfielder did pen a deal. The box-to-box midfielder Jem joined the Kampala, did join Sports Club Villa, the Jogos, 2 seasons back from Deje University, and has been one of the best performers at the club during the last 2 Uganda Premier League seasons. Now, Emmanuel Waiswa leaves the club after a mutual agreement between the club and the player. We wish him the best in the future, confirmed the official pages of Sports Club Villa, that is on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Now, Smart Sports understands that the deal has been agreed in principle of the midfielder to join KCCA after he passed his medicals. Now, also, all that awaits now is the Kasasiro boys to unveil their cut from Villa after a career for one of the gift of Keziron Chizito, who apparently are now new coach Mole Biekwaso's type of players. Now, the 13-time champions are also linked with a move for Yasa Mogera, who has had his stints in the Ethiopian Premier League, who is also yet to return back home onto the grassroots. That ends up our local updates here with in terms of the sports here on Smart Sports, as we head into the international sports news, as we start with the Olympics now, as Tom Dean of Britain won the gold medal in the men's 200 meters freestyle at the Tokyo Olympics on Tuesday. Now, Tom Deans earns 200 meters freestyle Olympic title in Tokyo with time of 1 minute 44.22 seconds in 22 seconds, as Duncan Scott adds to his 2 silvers at Rio 2016 and also with another in the pool. Now, Duo became the first British male swimmers to share a podium at the Games since 1908. Now, the Tom Dean stormed to victory in the men's 200 meters freestyle, and Great Britain were left to celebrate a famous 1:02 after Duncan Scott collected silver at the Tokyo Aquatics Center. Now, Dean, who twice contracted coronavirus last year, was third heading into the final 50 meters, while Scott was down in 6th at the halfway stage, but the pair finished strongly. Now, Dean finished in the time of 1 minute and 44.22 seconds, edging out his British compatriot by 0.04 seconds, with Brazil's Fernando Sefer claiming bronze a further 0.4 seconds back. Now, Scott, a bronze medalist over the distance at the 2019 World Championship, was heavily fancied coming into this showpiece after setting the quickest qualifying time in Monday's semi-finals with Dean's 4th fastest. But Dean was into his stride almost immediately from lane 6 after piping his Great Britain teammate as he raised both hands and stared at the screen, confirming his win almost in a state of disbelief, wondering whether he has won gold for Great Britain. Now, South Korea's Hong Shun-woo, who has earned the world record time at the 100-meter mark, but faded, ending up 7th overall as the British pair powered towards a spectacular finish. Now, the result marks the first time 2 British male swimmers have shared an Olympic podium since London 1908. Now, still with Britain now, but we cross over to football in the transfer market, crossing to England with Manchester United, as we are almost closing up the transfer market. Now, Manchester United agree a fee with Real Madrid for French defender Raphael Varane. This has always been coming through, and as we do understand that this particular move is yet to be accomplished. Now, fee for France international midfielder, which is £41 million, including add-ons, as the deal will go through when medical is complete. Remember, Jadon Sancho has already completed a move from Borussia Dortmund at £73 million. Now, the midfielder Paul Pogba is unlikely to sign a new deal, as Manchester United are still looking for bigger replacements, and also with Raphael Varane thinking that he will play a very huge and bond with a fantastic partnership with Harry Maguire, who is on form lately after the Euro 2020 games here in England. Now, Manchester United will have agreed a £41 million with Real Madrid for defender Rafael Benitez, as the price for the France international is believed to be 41 million, including the add-ons, as we said, and the deal is set to go through as subject to a medical. Now, having already signed England international Jadon Sancho for 73 million for Borussia Dortmund, the acquisition of Varane would be a further statement of inherit for Manchester United, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's team was second in the Premier League last season but finished 12 points behind Manchester City, and Varane is well established as one of the wildest top defenders, having joined Real Madrid from French side Lens in the summer of 2011. He has gone on to make over 350 appearances for the club and capped 79 times by France, helping them to the World Cup glory in 2018. Now, he started all of France's matches at Euro 2020 before they were knocked out on penalties by Switzerland. You should also be remembered that Raphael Varane should also be remembered as one of that part of the Real Madrid Galacticos, that team that went on to triumph and win 3 Champions League trophies in a row after La Decima in 2014. So that means this is a very huge achievement for Raphael Varane, who's rated highly as one of the greatest defenders, not only in Europe but also across the world. And it will be a big addition onto Manchester United, who have had issues with struggling in terms of defensive mechanism, with not only with the goalkeepers and also defenders, as they are looking for a solid partnership with Harry Maguire. Now, this is back to you, the Manchester United fans, whether Rafael Varane would be a good signing for you this summer. We'll still await. If he has signed and penned the deal, we'll also see and keep up with his form in the Premier League, and we warmly welcome him as well. Now, still with Manchester United, as Jadon Sancho, the Manchester United signed striker winger from Borussia Dortmund on 73 million. Now, Sancho, who's moved to Old Trafford, agreed in principle on July 1st, completed a medical earlier this month after his participation in 2020. He has signed a 5-year deal at United with an option of a further year, and Sancho will wear the number 25 shirt for his new side. Manchester City retained a sell-on clause for their former youth player, whose contract in Germany was due to run until the summer of 2023. And he comes out and says he will always be grateful for Dortmund because it gave him opportunity to play first team football, although he always knew that he would return to England one day. Sancho told Manchester United his official